What's up, people? Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Dean the Vaping Biker, and today we are going to be doing another live review. Hopefully you can hear me and everything is going good and gravy, and also hopefully the feed isn't looking too choppy, which apparently is a broadband challenge that we're having to face when we're doing these live reviews. But we'll see what we can do. We'll try and power through. I think the camera kind of gives a pretty clear kind of image, I think, most of the time, so that's what we're going to stick to, and we'll see how we get on. Basically what it means by doing this, it means that I can, I'm sorry, I'm just organizing my my windows here. It means that I can do these reviews to keep on top of things while I'm working on the pretty ones. Now, one of the ones that I'm working on should be out very, very soon. So thank you very much for all of you in chat for coming to join me. Now, this one is going to be a review. This isn't a vlog. There will be a Monday Night Live tonight. Whether it's just me or not, I don't know. But this is just the review on the product. So we'll see how we get on. Now, for this one, just to preempt you, whilst I have been on the Vape Team show before, I don't really know Mark VapnFagan at all. So I'm not kind of, you know, I know people tend to get a little bit funky thinking that all reviewers stick together and all that sort of rubbish. That's not the case anyway, but I'm just going to sort of throw that one out there. I've had this RDA for quite some time. Now, I have been using the black one only because I've wanted to test the finish on the black one, but we will unbox the other ones as well today, just so you can see what the different finishes look like and exactly how they come in the box for you. So hopefully that's all good and gravy. Now then, just let me make sure that my chat window is nice and long so I can see what's going on, and it is misses, and let's get into it. So as you've seen, we're going to be looking at the Not Another dripping atomiser from VapnFagan and Tigertek today. So let's have a little dive down and check this bad boy out. Whoosh, with the transition. Now then, so these are what we've got. These are the boxes. This is the black one that I've just cleaned up. We will throw a build in one today as well, but yeah, this is how the boxing comes. Now, let's say I have got these other versions. Now we've got the gunmetal one. Hang on, I've just realized that there we go, my camera is now in autofocus mode. I've really got to stop this gantry wobbling around. Someone said that it made them feel sick before, so we'll see if we can stop that one. Now then, we've got the stainless version going on right there, and we've got the gunmetal one going on right there. Now you'll see that with the stainless, in fact, let's just take them out of the boxes so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I was hoping that it was going to show up under camera a little bit better, but obviously that would be far too easy. Now hopefully what we'll see today is will be unaffected by technical glitches. But it's one of my live streams, so you know, at any point the feed could go horribly pear-shaped, but we'll see how we get on. Now then, let's say I've been using the black one solidly, and that's the only color I've been using because I've wanted to test the finish on it more than anything else, and there is going to be something I can tell you about with that in a moment. But let's just have a little breakout of these two boxes. And there we go. So we've got the gunmetal one and the stainless one. Now we'll have a little look at the details, but I just wanted to show you the difference with the finishes going on right there. Now then, when I take this off, just to have a little look at the deck, and we will look at the deck in more detail momentarily, you'll see that much like we'll see with the black one, this gunmetal finishes follows all the way through to the inside of the RDA as well. Whereas when you look at the stainless one, undo, there we go, we do have the stainless deck going on there. I know that's probably going to be quite shiny, but hopefully you can see the difference on those ones for us. Now then, what we will do, can't remember which one went in which box, but we'll put those to one side for the minute. Now we will be looking at we will be building on the gunmetal one today, and I think that's probably easier to do because it's not going to be quite so shiny when it comes to looking at the stuff that's important. But there we go. Now then, when it comes to the paintwork, I'm just going to show you this so we can we can kind of get on moving through. You can see that this is the black one that I've been using all the time. In fact, the deck still has the black, sorry, the squonk pin in it, because that's how it's been used most recently. Now, the only issues that I've found with the paintwork is you can see if you look right around this rim as I twist it, there's one little section there, but if I go all the way around this rim, misses, there's a little bit more going on there. Maybe you can see that, there we go, you can see that a little bit better there. Those are the only areas that I've found that has caused any kind of not troublesome or worrisome, but that's the only issues that I've seen when it comes to the paintwork. So that's something just for you guys to be aware of, and that's why I try and use the black ones more than anything else. But we will look at the deck in more detail momentarily, but this is the black deck, and you can see that even the posts are still looking in pretty damn good shape on that one. And there's been a bunch of builds go through it. So let's have a little look at the RDA in its entirety. So when it comes to you, it comes with this kind of knurled drip tip going on, very much like the dock tips that we've seen in the past. But that's what it's going to arrive with. But you will also get one of these drip tips as well. Now, I think this drip tip is a bit of an uggo, but at the same time, it actually feels really nice in the lips. So it's definitely a functional drip tip. Now, the size of the hole, obviously, you'll see that there is a vast difference there. Now, as Mr. Fagan has said, this is not designed for either single coil or for mouth to lung in, but although you can, and I'll show you how you single coil it in a little while, but there we go, you can do that. Now, when it comes to the design of the RDA, now I do watch when a reviewer releases a product, and I'm just going to transition up there for a second. When a reviewer releases a product, I think it's important for us as reviewers to go and check their presentation, because then that clears up any other questions and all that sort of good stuff. And so obviously when it comes to this, or when it comes to any other RDA or mod that a reviewer has had a hand in releasing, I'm going to go and watch their presentation, because that just makes sense. I know a lot of reviewers don't, which I don't really understand, but that just makes sense. Now, Mark has said on this one that he's not trying to innovate, he's not trying to change the game, he's not trying to do anything that's radically different from what's already out there, but what he's doing is he's pulling together the favourite things that he likes about an RDA. And that's, you know, you can't ask for fairer than that. I have linked down below into Mark's presentation as well, so you can always go and check that out, although try and wait until the end of this video before you do so, please. Now let's have a little look at this one then. So going into this one, you can see that now. All right, let's go back up to the top. We've got these what he's called gears at the top. Now, this is to help you take a grip of it when you are altering your airflow, because this is obviously your AFC as well. And that is, you know, it's an interesting take on that. It saves. We're seeing more. There we go. Use words, Dean. We're seeing more different designs on top caps now. That we used to just have knurling. You know, it used to just be a knurling fest right on this top cap to be able to get a grip of it, and now we're starting to see some different designs. So whether you like it or not, it does help. It does help when you're grasping that AFC, and for that, that's a good one. Now then, underneath here we do have these air holes, which will should we have a little measure of these? I did actually pay attention to what he said when he said about the sizes of them, but I'm not going to lie, completely forgot. So let's get the old verniers out and we can get these going. So looking at the width of those air holes, oh, yeah, go on. I think we're looking, this is probably going to be about 3¼ to 3.5 mil wide. Now, are we going to be able to get that? There we go. By about 2 mil tall. So there we go, about 3.5 by 2, according to my crappy verniers, for each one of these. So you can already tell this is going to be an airy bastard. Now then, we can adjust that airflow. If we turn this top cap, we can close off one of the airflow holes like so, and then we'll close off the other one, the third one, and finally the fourth one. So we can close all of these off, because this is going to allow us to have side airflow or bottom airflow, or any combination of the two, which I think is very cool. It gives you a lot of options. Now then, underneath, obviously, a lot of people have already pointed out that the NADA, which is sort of pretty heavy in there, is it's not laser etched. I think it's actually been machined in there, from what Mark has said. It is in a very Iron Maiden-y font, which I kind of tipped my hat to in the title to this video. No, it is in a very Iron Maiden-y font. It's very sort of, it's not super offensive, I think, in the black or the gunmetal versions, because they are kind of coated after the manufacturing process. Whereas when you've got the stainless one, it's a little bit more in your face on that one. So that's something just to be aware of right there. So that's that one. Now then, when we take the drip tip out, we don't have I don't think we have a 510 adapter. Let me just, we'll go back and check on that one. You can see that we do have not another dripping atomizer along the top there. On the stainless one, once again, it's not really in your face because of the color of the body of the RDA. However, with the black one, you can't get away from that. That is hardcore in your face wording. That's, you know, that's going to be something that some people are going to be into and some people are not going to be into. But if you're not going to be into it, then I think the gunmetal is the kind of the least offensive to the eye, if you like, when it comes to the options available. So then that's that when it comes to the top. Now then, let's take off this airflow control ring. You can see with this airflow control ring, this is what we've got when it comes to the how that is controlled. You don't have that single coil, as I've said there, and you do have a very thick, solid top cap. Now this is a 25mm RDA in diameter. This is 25mm. Apparently he originally wanted 26. Tigertek wanted 24, and so they compromised with a 25. Now this top cap does mean it's going to reduce the top chamber sort of where your coils are going to be hitting a little bit, so that's rather nice without being super offensive when it comes to being kind of invasive when it comes to your wick and your coil builds, because where we've got that airflow control ring there, you can see that that's going to be, you know, obviously I've not put the top cap on straight here, but you can see that with the height of that, that's going to be where your coil is, and so the airflow is going to be a little bit more condensed in here than if you had a thinner AFC / top cap. It is nicely domed out in the bottom there as well, so it does help with flavour a little bit. Now then, pushing the, out you come. The O-rings I've not had any problems with. Now one of the things you'll see on this one is that you do have black O-rings on the gunmetal and on the, I believe on the stainless one as well. Red O-rings on here. I've not really had any issues with the O-rings at all on this black one. So because I mean I've not used red O-rings before, but black I have. I would be more concerned if these were the white some kind of rubbish O-rings. Do you know what I mean? But I've not had any problems with those. Now then, this is going back to that one, nothing else to go on to, and that title or that name is on both sides of the cap, so if you don't like it, you can't escape it. It's there in your face. Now then, one of the things that might have been nice on here is if they did have a little notch on here, so it doesn't do what I just pointed out, when as much as you can pop that on and get your airflow in the wrong place. However, one of the good aspects of doing that is you can really direct that airflow, so if you do close this down to just the single hole, so just the one hole, you can then move this whole barrel around just a little bit to make sure that that air does go to the center of the coil rather than the outside of the coil. So if you're using like a thin 26 gauge or, you know, 24 gauge 7 wrap or something like that, and you only want to use one side hole here, should we try and stay in focus, and you only want to use one side hole here, then you can move the barrel around to make sure that you do hit the middle, which I think is very, very good indeed. Now then, poking out the deck, you'll see what we've got going on here. Now, Mark is absolutely open with the idea that he has used the idea from the drop RDA for his posts. And he makes a very, very good point in his presentation video. We'll just go up top for a second on that one. He makes a very, very good point. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have said, oh, it's a clone, it's a clone. Well, it's not a clone. Quite obviously, it's not a clone. A clone is something that is the same as something else. You can have sort of aspects decks that have been borrowed from stuff, and that, you know, that doesn't make it a clone. It just makes it influenced in some way by that. Now, we've seen this with previous decks. We've had the kind of just the 2 holes in 2 posts. We've had the 4 holes, the velocity style deck. That's been in a bunch of different RDAs. We've had the 4 kind of twisted messes style, which we had prior to the twisted messes, I think, and since the twisted messes came out with it. So, you know, when it comes to post design, there's only so many ways you can put 2 legs into something, you know, and I think we are going to be seeing more designs with this kind of drop post slash, you know, dead rabbit style posts. I think we're going to see more of those in the coming months and years, maybe, because it's a design that does work. The great thing about this design when it comes to posts, let's go back down again. The great thing about this design when it comes to the posts is you don't have to be super accurate when you're cutting your leads and putting them in. So it just means you've got a little bit of a sexier kind of install procedure. You don't have to fanny ass around like you do have to do with a postless kind of deck. Do you get me? So I think we can safely say this is not a drop or a dead rabbit clone. So when we've got the deck itself, you can see that you are going to be popping your posts, your coil legs into these, and because of the way the coil is going to be mounted, which is which? Here we go. I think, yeah, this is the positive side right here. This is the negative side right here. So you can have a positive leg here, a negative leg here, and that's going to mean this bottom airflow, which we'll look at in a moment, is going to be able to get underneath your coil, and your wicks are going to go under here. Now, one of the things that Mark has said is he's kept this design, even though you can't clip your wires underneath the post like you can with the drop and so on. What's happening here is it's allowing more space for wicking, which once again makes perfect sense. So I'm perfectly happy with that one. Now, you will see under these, you can't miss these big bad boys going on right here. Big 3.5 mil, I believe these holes are. Let's just get the old verniers out. Just over 3.5 mil. I'm measuring 3.6 mil for the underneath airflow. Now, we'll look at the spares that you get in here in a moment, but you do get some airflow reducer plugs that you can put in here. Now, the airflow reducer plugs will go from this 3.5, 3.6 down to 2.5, and then to 1.5, and then to absolutely nothing, which we'll have a look at in a minute. When it comes to the rest of the deck there, you can see that this one, it comes pre-installed with the regular 510, and that does protrude nicely. So certainly on the ones that I've had, they're perfectly safe for using on hybrid mechs. Now, when it comes to the underneath, once again, it's not super offensive under there. We've got the name, we've got all of the details one might expect, and obviously it is a little bit more obvious when you look at the black one, because they're not shy in coming forward when it comes to the logos on the black. But I am very happy to see that they haven't kind of embossed the barrel with the kind of the white paint on this one, or however they've done it. So well done them for that. Now then, one of the things you will see on this one, which is kind of, you know, it's not quite finished, in as much as that negative pin that's underneath here that holds the negative posts in place, just is far too long. It's far too long. Now, Mark says that maybe that was a Tigertek thing, and maybe they did that for, you know, to make sure that there was extra threads. Well, any threads that go above the plate, the negative plate, don't really achieve anything. They're not holding anything there. So, you know, it's I don't know whether that's the reason. That could have been finished a little bit differently, but one of the things that he wanted to do with this is make it super affordable, and so I dare say that's one of the areas, by not cutting down a screw or not ordering that size screw, could have made something a little bit cheaper. Now, when I've got the squonking pin inside this one, as so, you can see underneath there that is raised ever so slightly, or is raised a little bit above the base. Hopefully you can see that going on under there, so it doesn't drain everything back, but you've still got a fairly hefty amount of depth for all of your juice to flow around the deck in this particular RDA. You will also see that either side, you can see it easier on this one than the black one, that it does have kind of a step down section, so that can be your sort of extra juice wells and all that sort of stuff. Now, I think Mark said that's 6.5 mil for a juice well. Now, I would imagine imagine that's measured right down to the bottom of those sections. Now, obviously, if you're putting big coils in here, like 3.5mm coils, you're going to have a lot of wick going down. All that wick isn't going to be going right down to the base there, but you know, that's something that you can be aware of. And it does have, however you play with it, it's got a big old thick old juice well going on there, so you can whack a bunch of juice and wick in there, which I think is good. Now then, let's have a little look at these extras that come with it, shall we? Moving that shit out of the way. Just wrong way. That's the way we want to go. Stop the old gantry from moving around. I really need to fix that. So as I said earlier on, you do get the extra drip tip, but taking this out, you get a little shelf going on here, and right here is where you get the extras. Now, Mark said that he didn't want to do things like the tri-tool and all that sort of good jazz, but nonetheless, here we have it here. So let's go through all of these spares, shall we? We've got a bunch of O-rings. You've got these extra red O-rings as well. If you do want to use those, you certainly can. We've got the squonk pin going on there. We've got the tri-tool going on there. We've got extra post screws, which is great. And then we have the airflow reducers. Now, these are what I do want to show you when it comes to the different sizes. So let's try and have a little zoom in if we can and see. Well, stop moving. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Right, I'm going to put these three on here. Well, that's not a finish that you're going to be able to see. There we go. There we go. And move this up. Are we going to focus? Boof, there we go. So these are the airflow reducers that you get, that you can screw into those airflow holes at the bottom or in the deck there underneath the coil. So they're what I was saying earlier on about 2.5mm, 1.5mm, and 0/fuck all when it comes to your airflow. So you can screw those ones in. Now, I've tried all three of them, and to be honest, I didn't really notice the difference. I know Mark says it in his presentation, but I really didn't notice the difference between, you know, no airflow hole and the 2.5mm, or with the, but when I put the 1.5mm in, I certainly did notice a difference. Now, one of the things that I've really noticed about this RDA is that coil placement and which airflow you're using can really affect the noise, or how loud this RDA is. This is not a quiet RDA in my opinion, but where you place your coils can make a vast difference on that one. Now, the last ones that I've been using on here is I have been using the side airflow only, so I've just been using the full bungs going on. Now, to be honest with you, when it comes to this bottom airflow, the annoyance with this kind of bung system is the fact, and like we've seen, I think was it with the K-Fun as well, the annoyance with this is if you put say you put the 2.5mm in, you build your coil and then you go, oh no, I don't really like that, you're then stuck with it until you take that coil out and then take out your bung and then replace it with something else. You're stuck with what you put in there. So that's a little bit frustrating. What would have been awesome with this kind of design would have been maybe if these were kind of like oblongy kind of holes, and then you'd have, because these are in at an angle, you could have had a screw that goes into that side to sort of alter and close off that airflow maybe in some way. That would have been a badass design. I think that would have been really cool, because then you could have altered that while it was in use, so to speak, you know, and just by having that screw. And like I say, because these airflow thingies are kind of angled to go underneath your coil, I think you could have done that. Now, what it means is when I've been dripping with this, especially with the wide airflow holes, you do have to be careful. I don't know whether I'd say you have to paint your coils, but if your coils are kind of towards the center of this, or kind of sitting, in fact, let me get a little thingy here. If I use a 3.5mm coiling rod to sort of kind of simulate a 3mm ID coil, if you're going to be putting your coil there, then obviously you can drip down the middle in between the two coils, but if you're one of these people that likes putting your juice on your coil, it can easily kind of wrap round and go down these holes, because they are big bastard air holes. So you know, you can't expect anything else, but you know, it does a pretty good job if you're careful about how you drip. If you're dripping right down the middle there, no problems. And like I said, when it comes to squonking, because it's a super deep juice well, I've had no problems with it when it comes to squonking, unless you really go flipping leery when it comes to squonking. That is a lot of space there to hook up with. So there we go. Now then, I said earlier on about a single coil airflow. Now what I meant by that one is what you can do if you really want to is you can put a full bung into one side, so block that one off completely, and then either leave this open or have the 2.5mm or the 1.5mm airflow bung in there to restrict that airflow a little bit. Now this is the only time I've kind of gone, do you know what, maybe the 2.5mm option isn't too bad. The only problem with that is obviously you've got a big old chamber going on, and so you're not getting the best out of it. So I wanted to show you this one that you can use this as a single coil bottom airflow. You can't use this as a single coil side airflow, but as a bottom airflow, yes you can. Do you get 2 of each bung? Yes you can. Yes you do. Yes you do. Hence, I've got 1 of each going in that one, you see, or 2 going on in that one. So yes, you can. So you can use this as a single coil bottom airflow, but it is a 25mm and it does have a big old deck going on in there. Even though that is kind of restricted somewhat in that top cap area, you can do that and it does work. It is something that I've tried and it does work, and it's not terrible. I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't buy it for that purpose, but it's not terrible. So there we go. That's about it when it comes to the Tigertek and VapnFagan NADA RDA. Now, yeah, obviously some people are going to get their pants in a twist because the NADA sounds like the NADA, very high-end atomizer that's like pigeon fucking stuff, you know. I can't remember the saying. Wooden horse poop to buy, but you know, it has a different sound to it. But there you go. Right, so that's it. Now, do we build the squonker or do we build the dripper? I think we're going to build the. I'll carry on building with this one. So we may as well just build it to drip, shall we? Let's do that. No, fuck it. I'm going to build it to squonk so I can. So there we go. Now, where's my build station? I still use this Coil Arty build thing, not because I think it's a fantastic build station, but because, you know. Oh, actually, I know what we can do before I do anything at all. We can show you a little noise test. So this one is blocked off with no airflow holes going on. So we'll just bang the barrel on. We'll bang on the airflow control ring. And we'll throw in this drip tip here. We'll have the air wide open on this one. Now this, obviously, as I've shown you, has the bottom airflow switched off because those bungs are in place. And just to go for a sort of a sound test, if you like, that is an airy bastard. If I close one off, still very, very airy. Closing another off. Now, did you hear how much of a difference closing that top airflow has when it comes to the sound created? And just with one airflow open, it's actually pretty quiet. Now, if we compare that to the gunmetal one, if I just make sure that everything is the same, although this time we've got the bottom airflow open. Once again, the sides are open. That's a loud RDA. Closing one of the sides off, 2 of the sides off, 3 of the sides off, and finally all of the side airflow off. That bottom airflow does make it a much louder RDA. We're kind of pre-whistle. Do you get me? A little, you know, it's just there if you're sucking it hard. Do you get that? So with that bottom airflow, it does make it a louder RDA for sure. So that's why when I finished my testing, I kind of continued with side airflow only on this one because that's how I preferred it, because it was just a wee bit quieter. So there you go. Hopefully that will explain that one. So I'm gonna. I mean, it's a butt ton of airflow, just ridiculous amounts of air. So if you like hard air, then you know that's what you've got here, and that's going to mean that you've got a lot of options if you're using big series builds or anything along those lines. Do you know what I mean? If you want big air because you've got a hot coil in there, you know, you've got that as an option going on there. But it does make it louder. Now for today, I'm going to build on the black one without the bottom airflow. When it comes to flavour, I think it might. I mean, you know me. I'm not a big one when it comes to sort of being, you know, super delicate with figuring out flavours and stuff. I think it might help with that bottom airflow, but the trade-off is a louder RDA. So, do you get me? You get me. Good. Right, so let's dive down and we'll get a build in this sucker, shall we? Get that going on right here. Take that top cap off. Now, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flick this to manual, and I know that's jiggling around. Let's try and stop it jiggling around. Flicking it to a manual focus, so that way it doesn't keep going in and out every time my big fat hands get in the way. Now, one of the things that we know with the drop kind of deck or drop styling deck is that it is dead easy to build on, and this is no exception. You've got 1.5mm head ID, Allen keys. I'm using my 1.5mm Allen key going on in here, which makes my life super easy, so I like that one. Massive great holes here, so you can fit those huge great coils in there if you so wish. Now then, I've put a bunch of different coils in here, and I have been able to grasp the wires when it comes to 26 gauge, as well as a bunch of other just round wire options. So what I'm going to use today is I'm going to use some MTN Coils. These are the last ones that he sent me. These are some aliens going on in here, and we'll bang these bad boys in here. Lovely coils, full stainless steel, which I'm very happy with. Let's get these puppies out, and it saves me having to build them, which, you know, makes my life very, very happy. I'll try to remember to leave the link for MTN Coils. It's mtncoils.co.uk if you want them anyway. I think these are a 3mm ID coil. Let me just check. Yes, they are. Now then, I'm going to cut the legs on here just, you know, just to where I'm kind of, I feel. Like I said, because we've got this drop style deck, you haven't got to be too precious about your coil length on the legs, which you think is great, but you can always bang those in. You can stick them in the posts and go, woof, no, they're going to be too long. As with anything, you know, yes, you don't have to be particular, but you don't want to have your coil so far down that the leg is touching the base underneath the deck. But as far as things go, that looks like that should do the business for me. Now then, let's take this one out. I'll show you again where I'm going to cut these, just in a kind of devil may care, fly-by-night attitude. Boof in there, and boof in there like that. So there we go. Now let's tighten this one up before I worry about getting the other one in, shall we? Now, you don't touch, when you're putting your coils in, you're nowhere near those bungs, the airflow bungs, so you don't have to worry about those touching. But, you know, as with any build, just make sure you know what you're doing. And obviously, build responsibly if you're going to use this on a mechanical or unregulated device. There you go. Pop that puppy in there and in there. I'm hoping to get this live stream done before DHL rock up with deliveries today. I will be unboxing those later on for my patrons. Come out. Okie dokie. Okie dokie, bobbly skip, as they say. Let's get this thing centered. Now then, when it comes to coil placement, generally I try to make sure that as a guide, I'm putting my coils over the top of where those sort of airflow bungs are, because, you know, that's going to be where they've figured it's going to be best for flavour. Otherwise, you know, it wouldn't work in half the configurations you're going to put it in. So once you get that there, jobs are good. And as well, if you're a little bit closer into the middle rather than going all the way on the outside, first of all, you don't have to worry about the you know, touching the inside of the top cap, which is something you do need to be aware of. But the other thing is it means that you can drip down the middle. You can do, you know, what you like with it. So jobs are flipping good. Now then, let's see about getting these ones fired up, shall we? Maybe I need to put this on a regulator device for these, but let's see how we get on. Let's see how we get on. I hope you're all having a wonderful Monday. Obviously, Mondays are habitually bollocks because they're the day after the weekend, but I hope you're all having as good a day as you can be having. Once we've got these glowed up, I should have showed you where the airflow hits prior to doing this, but I'm going to put these on a different mod for the minute, just so I can fire these up. Take the thingy off. Oh, right, there we go. We've got focus again, and we'll do that. Boof. Let's get this puppy fired up. Right. I do like these MTN coils. They tend not to need too much finagling and fucking about before you get a decent response from them, which I'm happy with. Now, one of the things that I don't know about this, and I don't think has been addressed in any other videos as far as I'm aware, is that when, like this black one, you might be able to see that it's very dark in those posts, and that's because the coating is all the way through. This is some kind of vacuum coating, I believe, is all the way through the post hole. So it sort of suggests to me that the current is being passed through the post, through the threading, and then going through the screw to the coil. Now, I've not seen this make any kind of significant difference when it comes to resistance or anything along those lines, but I'd be interested to know if it does make a difference in any way, shape or form to how the current is managed in RDAs, you know? You get me? Right, I think for the sake of time, we're going to probably have to go with that. One of them's going up a little bit quicker than the other, but I think that's what we might have to just go with for today. I have made a royal cock up of doing those coils, but, you know, and as always, before people go, oh, you should put your coil somewhere else, snowflake cry. I've had more coils through this than you've had hot dinners. So shut your holes, because I have had coils galore in here. And oh, sorry if you can hear the fighter jet on the outside. I'm not entirely sure if we're about to get killed. Where's my open cotton? Here it is. So I'm still trialling out this stuff, by the way. I don't know if any of you have tried this, Cotton Gods. I don't know if any of you have tried this, but I'm still giving this a go. Still not made up my mind. Still not made up my mind. Got mine from Evolution Vaping in the UK, if you want to give it a go yourself. Right. Pull some of this off. Whoever misses. Get this going on here. This cotton it's funny old stuff to work with. Yeah, fuck it, that's close enough. Close enough for jazz. Now you do have these massive juice wells, don't forget, so you can really stuff a bunch of cotton down the outside of there, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing today. So, sorry if anybody's asked me questions about the RDA so far. What I'll do is I will try to answer those questions at the end, but I will have to ask you to repost them. So, there we go. Koki, jobs are flipping good. What am I doing? I want a pokey stick. Ooh, le pokey stick. There it is. Best thing in the world, honestly. Just a little tiny screwdriver, and jobs are good. Right, Tickle the wick, 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 tickle the wick. Now then, this is what I was saying about a lot. These are just 3mm ID coils, and that is a lot of cotton. So obviously I'm not going to use all of this cotton. I'm going to thin that out a little bit, but you know, having that space underneath the posts, even though you can't get your cutters down, if you like, you know, you can. They do serve quite a strong purpose with regards to giving you space for that monstrous amount of wick to go and hang out, you know, have a party, invite the friends over. Da, 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 da. I know this, I know this is dull as piss, and you can't. Well, I suppose you can fast forward through it if you're watching this on playback. To be honest, I'm really enjoying these kind of earlier in the day live streams. Right, now let's just trim this up a little bit. Definitely should have been a hairdresser in a previous life. And then we can just doink this cotton down in the holes. As always, if you're new to building, try not to compress your cotton too much, because you want your wick to really kind of soak up that juice in the you know, fibre by fibre. And if you compress it too much, you can't do it. To use the straw analogy that I use a lot, if you when it comes to resistance and all that sort of stuff, but if you imagine each fibre is like a straw, and if you kink that straw, you can't suck through it. So boof, there we go. Right, built, done. Now when it comes to where that airflow is going to be hitting, just to give you an idea about that, that should be kind of pretty much just underneath that coil, thereabouts, you know, underneath to midway through it. So boof, there we go. Have some of those apples. Hopefully you can see that, and it's almost in focus, and jobs are good. Right, let's get some juice on here, shall we? I'm going to use some DarkStar Cosmic Scones, scones, depending on where you are in the world. I'm also not going to use it on there. I am going to use it on a Bassium, because I can, and it's squonkalicious. Now Mark said he's not really a squonker, so I think he even said that he hasn't even tried it in squonk mode, which seemed like a strange thing to say on your kind of product video, but you know, that's it works. It works. Like I said, I mean, when it comes to squonking, I know some people say, oh, I don't like squonking, it's a pain in the dick. I personally, I think squonking is exactly the same as dripping, but rather than juice coming from underneath, juice is coming rather than juice coming from under the top, over the top is coming from underneath, which, you know, is a thing. So this is going to take just a ton of juice going on in here now. So stick with me. Let me turn that power up. Bunch of juice on there. Get that sizzling away. Right. If anything, I have over dripped because I now have an actual bunch of juice underneath there. So let me just tip some of that out. Definitely put too much juice in there, but there you go. Boom. Right. Built. We'll get the old airflow jobby on top of it, and there we go. That is the that's the NADA RDA from Tigertek and VapnFagan. Now let's go back up top, and both done. Let's get this vaping and see what we're all about. So airflow fully open, I've got this at, I'm going to put this at 77.7 watts. 77. Oh, fuck me. Here we go. Is that my concentration face then? That is airy. Dean the Vaping Biker, did you pick up on the Iron Maiden font? Yes, that's why I call this Fagan's Maiden Voyage. You see? See, I I tell you, I'm ahead of my time somewhere. Right. So let's just vape through this a couple of times just to try and get rid of that excess juice. No, that is a hot vape. I'm going to actually turn that down just a wee bit. Let's try 66.6. Let's do that. Much more manageable, but for me, too much airflow. I'm going to take all of the top airflow down. Now, here's the thing. For people with dodgy eyesight, like me, who's a bit crap, bit old, bit broken, bit, you know, black on black airflow is really, really difficult to see when you're closing down. You have to try and get it in the right kind of light, and then you're kind of doing stuff, and then you're moving things, and then like I've got at the minute, I've got sort of juice bubbles in those airflow holes. So I can't see what I'm fucking doing. Blind as a bat. Anyway, I think I've cut. Yes, have I? No, I've only got 3 down. Closing the top side, the top of the 4 airflow holes off. Little bit too tight for those coils, so I'm going to go 3 airflow holes. And jobs are good. Jobs are good. So, like I said, flavour. Flavour is all right. It's not terrible. It's not terrible flavour, not by a long stretch. Is it the best flavour? I'm going to let other people decide that one, to be honest with you. It's an RDA. It's comparable to a lot of other RDAs, you know. It's no. I think when people say, you know, what gives you better flavour? Is this better? Is RDA better than RDA B? You know, well, you know, that's a lot of that is going to be down to how you've wicked it, where your coils are, how you've placed your coils, what temperature you vape at, what juice you use, all of that sort of thing. You know, when you use certain citrusy flavours, they come through at different temperatures to maybe a custard or a thicker flavour or an RY4 or something like that. So, you know, it does change. I think a lot of RDAs now, we've kind of hit a pinnacle. You're not going to be able to get better flavour than we get right now, in my opinion. And a lot of the RDAs, and this is no exception, produce similar kind of levels of flavour. They're perfectly reasonable for what they're designed to do. Now, like I say, when it comes to the under coil airflow, whoops, that's the airflow fucking set things off. I will be right back. Well, we haven't had a technical issue, but we had a thing issue, so that's fun. Right. So anyway, going back to this one, yeah, I think we're, you know, flavour wise, I think we're much of a muchness. So it depends on your experience, and as always, go and watch a bunch of other reviews, because people with a more sensitive palate can probably give you more information on that one. But you know, for me, I find the flavour is all right. Now, I know someone earlier on in the chat said it's their favourite series RDA, and you know the interesting thing about this, and with the Warrior RDA that I'm looking at the moment, the top cap does get very hot. It does get hot, and so depending on which drip tip you use is going to be massively dependent on how that interacts with you. Now with this one, I think this is a little bit taller than on the Warrior, so it's kind of, you know, you can get your lips a little bit further away from the RDA. However, taking that drip tip out and putting this one in, I think it doesn't look as good. It doesn't look as good, but are we going to focus? Maybe? Yeah, we're kind of focused. It doesn't look as good, but I think it's more functional from a vaping point of view. So I do prefer the use of this particular drip tip. As you can hear, it's not as loud. For those just coming in, when you've got the bottom airflow, if I use this one with just the bottom airflow, the gunmetal one, without a coil in there, granted, but without a coil in there, That's, you know, that's a huge difference, and that's been my main driver for using the side airflow rather than going for the bottom airflow. Do you get me? Do you get me? But for that one, I think I can turn that airflow. And so it does a fine job. Now then, it does what it says on the tin. You know, nothing about doing a fine job. It's a dripping atomizer, like he said. He's not trying to kind of reinvent the wheel. He's not trying to do anything drastically different, but give you a few more options. Now, I do think we do have a few more options airflow wise. I would have liked to have seen the sort of the oblong post, so you could have used screws to alter that airflow with the coil in place. I really would like to have seen that one. What else was it? What else was it? Maybe a little bit smoother machining for that bottom airflow would have calmed down the noise, so it wouldn't have been quite so loud. So that's a thing. Or even, you know, I know that he couldn't have had the airflow directly underneath the deck because we've got those extra juice wells going in and sort of interrupting that space. But maybe if that airflow had have gone sort of straight through underneath from one side to the other and then allowed the air to come up, maybe that could have been a bit smoother. Who knows? I don't know. But, you know, I mean, it's not super turbulent. It's pretty smooth. It's just not super quiet. Do you get me? Good. Right. Let's have a little look and see how much they are, shall we? Moving across to Google. Now then, what have we got? Tigertek, I think. There we go. Tigertek NADA RDA. And boof, coming through on the Tigertek website there at $29.99. Don't know what that's coming through at the rest of the world. We got My VPro there, $29.99. My Vapor Store, $29.99. I don't know if this is in the UK yet. Let's have a little look. Any country? UK. Boof. Let's have some of those apples. Have we got it here? $23.99. Don't know what Vaping 101 is, but $23.99 going on there. I never would suggest using eBay, but I know some people do. Nothing else there that is absolutely obvious. So, you know, you've got options there, but GearBest, looks like GearBest have got it, 2307. So you've got options. You've got options on the pricing, and it is. He set out to do a cheap atomizer, and a cheap atomizer he did make. I think when it comes to the styling of it, it's not really a super short, dumpy atomizer. I mean, looking at the height of it, without the drip tip, base to top, we're looking at 27 mil. So that's, you know, I mean, that's fairly chunky, but a 25 mil outer. So, you know, it's a chunky little RDA. It really is. I do think the top cap kind of does help reduce things to right at the top where your coils go. So that's going to help with flavor a little bit. But, you know, it's going to be one that's going to be down to you guys. I wanted to give you a look on this one purely because I've used it a lot. I put a lot of coils in this one. I've allowed myself extra time, so I'm not first out with reviews at the moment, but it means I can put a fuck ton of coils in stuff, which, you know, you'll find out when we do the drop solo and the drop dead and all that sort of good stuff. But for me, would I rush out and buy it? Probably not. But then again, I've got a bunch of different RDAs anyway. If you want to have a bunch of different airflow options, then sure, why not? Why not? If you don't mind it being a little bit loud, if you like undercoil, sure, why not? If you want an undercoil airflow that's got deep juice wells, again, sure, why not? However, if you're a little bit kind of offended by, you know, massive branding and all that sort of stuff, then the black one's probably not going to be for you. My favorite color choice is the gunmetal one because it kind of is the more subtle one out of all of them. So there we go. If anyone's got any questions, start it with that Vaping Biker in the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, if you do have any questions or if you have any comments, as always, I would love to hear your comments if you've got this atomizer and to know what your experiences of it are. Again, when it comes to the black one, I have just been testing the black one so I could test that paint. I showed you earlier on in the review how that's been going. And so, yeah. all in all, that's about as much as I can tell you, really. Hopefully that's given you a good insight into the RDA and a fairly thorough review going on. So as I said, as always, if you've got any comments, if you've got one, leave it down below. Now, if you do want to support the channel, crack on over to Patreon. I don't take queue jumps. I don't take sponsorships. I don't from vaping companies. I'm always open to non-vaping company sponsors. but no, I don't do any of that, so I remain independent and comfortable with the way that I review things. And once again, not dissing anybody else, just my personal preference. But if you do want to support the channel, go ahead and there's the Patreon link down below. There's also the paypal.me link if you want to do just a one-off supportive payment. Now then, I think that's about it. Thanks, Dean. Great review as always. Congrats on the batting. Thank you very much indeed. Great stuff. Good. So I think we've answered all of the questions. Get my outro ready. And that's about all I can tell you. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Dean the Vaping Biker. This has been the NADA RDA, the Not Another Dripping Atomizer from VapnFagan and Tigertek. And I will see you very, very soon. Have it larger.